This is some pistols.
Again, once for each of your queries. So
Get a bit of light in there.
Can produce the store scalar value, which this is the scalar value with the single column that comes back.
The set with the heaviest weight.
You can bring back tabular, basically like a table. So if you want to store the results of one query and then use it again and again inside your bigger query, you can store a table. You can also store functions, which is kind of handy. So if this enables you to pass, you can actually pass variables into the defined variable. Or there's also what is called dynamics. Now we'll talk about dynamics a lot later on, but essentially a dynamic is a JSON field that can use dotted notation to navigate through the object model. Now this, anybody who's done some software development knows the pains of the semicolon. So yes, you have to have a semicolon to let the query language know that that's the end of the variable definition and the beginning of either the next variable or perhaps the query itself. The next one down here is print. So print is also what I used at the very beginning of the presentation. It's designed to just output a single scalar value. So if you just want to print something on the screen, this is exactly how you would do it. Print and then whichever column you want, or whichever field you want to print. Let's move on and talk about the device logon events table. So the device logon events table, in fact, let me go ahead and beat this first here and just take 100 of these. So the device logon events table is going to contain one row for each logon made to a device. And this is based on Defender ATP. So this is going to include local logons, network logons, successes, and failures, everything. You're going to get a bunch of information about the account that tried to log on, the protocol that you're using, the process that fielded it. So in this case, when you're using device logon events, the actual process that's fielding the logon is going to be the initiating process in this case. So it's going to let you know which process is performing the logon essentially. So there's a bunch of good information here. You'll also get some network information if it's not a local logon. There's also a field here which I find rather interesting, which is local admin. So if this is set to 1, the account, when authenticated, was resolved to be a local administrator of that particular device. Now, the other operator we have here is count. Now, count is a handy little command if you want to try to figure out how big of a result you're going to get back from your query. So in this case, if I just ran this without the pipe count on it, I would get 27,400 rows back, at least at the current moment. Keep in mind, rows are constantly being added, and they're also being deleted when they hit their lifespan. And actually, a very important note when it comes to lifespan. So there's different types of data lifespans you're going to have inside the system. So there's the overall retention policy that's going to be configured underneath if you want under settings. There's a section where you can set the data retention, which can be up to 180 days. When you're querying data in advanced hunting, you can only get back for 30 days. This is for performance reasons. So moving forward, we're going to take a look at the app file events table. So app file events is going to be any information that regards to files that are stored in a cloud service. You're going to see, for example, in this case, we've got some OneDrive for Business. This is the actual file name. This is the full file path here. This is coming essentially from MCAS, or Microsoft Cloud App Security. You can also see, depending on the type of access, in this case, I don't have many, there we go. So you can see, for example, the IP address, the geolocation of the IP address, and the ISP that was used. In this case, you can see Barbara Moreland here is accessing things inside the accounting file folder on what appears to be her corporate OneDrive. Now, once again, you notice that it says take 100 to limit the results. Sort the results based on timestamps. So sort is something you're going to use a lot, especially when you're dealing with technology like timestamps. So in this case, we're doing this in descending order. So everything in here should be sorted automatically in descending order. That said, you don't always have to, you can actually sort after the fact if you're using the web interface. So for example,
my left X and right fell first on that.
Column here and switch the sort order.
Okay, well that's me done. 4 pistols for the day.